Today, President Donald Trump expressed optimism as he prepared to host the Ukrainian President, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, still there for his vacation time, saying, and a quote, he believes, quote, "We have the makings of a deal," unquote, to end the long-running Russia-Ukraine war. Yes, I know you've heard that line before many times. Many times, but just go with me. It's a slow weekend for the news. We have to do something. Trump told reporters there was significant progress in negotiations and emphasized that ending the conflict was extremely important, warning that millions more lives could be lost if a peace agreement is not reached soon. Now, following the talks that happened on today, Trump and Zelensky described the negotiations as closer than ever and to a peace agreement basically being there. Though key issues remain unresolved, Trump and Zelensky said that their teams have been working on now what's a 20-point peace plan, more points for the points, I guess, which introduces security guarantees for Ukraine and commitments from European partners to make it all round up, get everybody a chance to have a part of this thing, all for Russia to just say no because they're going to say no to anything that's put out there. Zelensky stated negotiations have agreed 95% of what's going on there in the framework. He's basically going along with Trump's plan, but the thorny points, such as things like territorial disputes, especially over the Donbass region, require some work, i.e., we're not giving up the Donbass region, but everything else, we'll go ahead and go along with it until Russia goes ahead and says no and the war keeps going. Between the lines, of course. Now, both leaders, being Trump and Zelensky, pointed out that security guarantees are essential to any peace deal that's going to come about, with Zelensky emphasizing that Ukrainian law and the will of the Ukrainian people, potentially will the parliamentary approval process as well, will shape the acceptance of an agreement. Trump noted that wide involvement from Ukrainian leaders and talks and signaled about the additional diplomatic engagements is also planned as well to put some onus on Europe and less on the United States, because that's not making America first. It's making Europe second, third, or fourth in the process to make Ukraine first going forward. A future meeting in Washington with all European partners and Zelensky, maybe even Russia, could happen soon. Now, positive language notwithstanding, Russia's position pretty much is the problem. The obstacle is Russia doesn't want anything to do with this one. Kremlin is demanding that territorial concessions are given up by Ukraine, and which Ukraine is basically saying no to. So there's a non-starter right there. Russia has also continued military operations in the recent missile attacks and drone attacks in Ukrainian cities, especially in what was said to be a Christmas truce, which did not truce so well. So if they're not really fighting for peace, not really talking for peace, and they're technically just fighting to fight, Russia doesn't seem to be all involved in this 20-point plan. Trump acknowledged that these complexities are complexities. He says, yeah, it's a problem. However, he insists that there's no hard deadline to reach the deal. And the priority, he says, is getting the war to end eventually, at some point in time, when we get around to it. Once everyone agrees to great things and I'm ready to get my Nobel Peace Prize. But there's no actual pressure to end the war anytime soon. Meanwhile, it's up to Trump and Zelensky, who's the only people meeting in this thing right now. And this one here is building on months of diplomatic efforts, which has involved NATO and European leaders doing most of the work and the U.S. sitting on the sidelines, plus some earlier peace plans discussions that were there to make it seem like it's a better deal. Previous summits, like the March one and the August one, were high-level meetings that helped shape the elements of the current peace framework, underscoring the ongoing complexities of negotiations, especially given the difficulties of priorities between Ukraine and Russia and Western allies. Actually, the priorities aren't all that different, except between Russia, who just wants to win everything, and Ukraine and everyone else who just want the whole thing to stop, and the U.S., or more likely Trump, who's waffling because he's trying to impress Russia for whatever reason. But that's what we're stuck at. The renewed push for peace in this deal could accelerate the end to one of Europe's longest contemporary wars, potentially reducing casualties and humanitarian suffering on all sides. The involvement of both the U.S. and Europe has signaling some multilateral support for the framework that includes security guarantees and reconstruction support. This could be good and be what was needed to push Russia to pull out a pin and sign it. But we're talking about Russia, and pulling out a pin and signing it is going to be a hard act to get them to do, because the biggest unresolved issue is that they want territory. They want the Donbass region, which is contested by both the Ukrainians and the Russians, and Ukraine's not going to give it up. That can undermine any tentative agreement or any clauses in there that will make a collapse to the entire cause of the issue for all purposes, all parties, all individuals. And Russia's fact that they haven't actually did anything to show they want peace. They're even fighting even more right now, and their demands are just a signal that even if a nice, big, perfect peace plan was put in front of them, they're not going to honor it anyway. So why are we putting a peace plan in front of them and we're not working to do the other way, which is thump them on the head and make them go away? Fragile peace at best. No peace is pretty much what's standard. And Donald Trump not getting a peace deal or a peace prize, if this is the crown jewel, what's going to happen, because there is no peace. There is no end. The war continues. And the war, while he wants to give all the save the face for the Russians in possibility, it's pretty much all Russia's fault. What do we do about this? What do he do about this? What do they do about this? What do you say we should do about this? Should we just basically pull up all stakes and just be done with it? Let Russia overtake the place and be over and hope that's all they want? Or do we really want to actually bully up to Russia again and show them that, hey, we are the bigger power. We're the bigger threat. Trump, may like you, but you can't be just doing stuff. Yeah, that's never going to happen. But whatever you think will happen, tell me in the comments.